Greetings and welcome to episode 25 of Hex in Harmony. Glad everybody's here. Hope everybody is doing well. Today, we're going to talk about rest as a sacred choice and how that fits into your magical, mystical life. So just to start out, sacred rest is the intentional, reverent pause where you honor your divine essence by surrendering to stillness. It's a place where you allow your body, spirit, and soul to realign with the universe's natural rhythms. And as opposed to sleep or being idle, this is something that is a very holy ritual of renewal. So it's something that, is going to refresh you, bring you back to your balanced, harmonious state, and allow you to rebirth so you can be ready to move on. So we often choose sacred rest, and we all should choose sacred rest because with all of the things going on the planet, we need our rest and we need to be in a peaceful, calm state of mind before we endeavor things. So, starting out with what and how can we enchant our rest spaces with so that we can create a space that is truly sacred? I'll go first. So, one thing, because I do Reiki also, so you can clear the energy. Of course, candles and incense clear the energy and sending healing, calming energy throughout the space where you are so that it is an environment that is enabling you to actually get rest. Because you can't be in a chaotic space and expect to be able to get rest. So that's one of the things I do. Sure, spaces cleared and like frankincense and myrrh or lavender or rose, because not only does that help clear the space, but those also are protective scents. And sometimes you need your space to be protected to allow you to rest fully and peacefully. So, who wants to go next?
I can. One of the biggest things for me is making sure I spend time away from electronics, away from my laptop, away from the TV, away from my phone, just making sure that I don't have that chaotic energy around me, because no matter if I'm not on social media or not looking at the news and I'm only engaging with positive things, you still have the electromagnetic frequencies of the electronic devices. So just being away from that, and we don't think of that as sacred or spiritual, but it is. To take a pause from that really is a sacred act, and it allows us to detox and rest in a much more efficient and restorative way.
Oh, I agree. Energetically, rest equals repair. So, I mean, whenever we take the time to truly rest, our nervous system can regenerate itself. Our auras can regenerate, and to just still your thoughts. Rest is a time for integration. I mean, technically during sleep, the doctors and the scientists say that during sleep is when your brain rests and repairs. And rest doesn't mean that it's not doing anything. It's when you integrate all the things that you learned that day, all the experiences that you had that day, all of that gets integrated into your brain and your body while you're resting. It's when things even out. And I think it is important. And I mean, you know, me and Michelle are always on the same wavelength, because the one thing I was going to mention was the EMFs. You know, turn off the TV, get away from the computer, you know, get away from electricity, move your phone far, far away, and, you know, get away from those EMFs that are bombarding you all day. We don't realize these things, but they do, and they wear down our energy fields. And, you know, as it builds up, it can take a toll on your magic. You know, as a magic practitioner, it can take a toll on your psychology, on your psyche. So having a space, you know, preparing some kind of space for yourself where you're away from all of the white noise, all of the EMFs, all of the just chatter that goes on in your household. If you can find a space free of all those things and just rest. And it doesn't mean be lazy and sleep. It means actually still your mind. And I mean, I do recommend, what's the word I want? Meditation for everybody, because even if you can only do 3 minutes to start, it's not easy to clear your mind of everything. But even if you can just start with 3 minutes a day of meditation, just to quiet yourself and center yourself and let your brain align, you know, with all of your chakras and all of that kind of stuff, you're going to see a difference in your energy, in your mood, in your ideas will flow better, just everything.
And speaking of meditation, don't beat yourself up if your brain refuses to quiet down and you can't stop the thoughts, because your brain is just doing what brains do. Brains are designed to think and to process information. So it is a practice and it is an exercise in quieting your mind. And so until you build that meditation muscle, it is going to be a struggle and your brain is going to fight, because that's what it's supposed to do. But if you say, I can't do it, and you don't try, then you're right, you can't do it, because you can't do what you don't even attempt to do. But if you start and you notice every time your mind brings some thought into place, just notice it. Just be like, yeah, that's a thought. I'm going to let it go. And come back and just count your breath and notice the breathing in and out. And then when another thought comes in, just think, yeah, that's a thought, and let it go and go right back to noticing your breath. And you will, the more you do that, the longer you'll see that you go between noticing those thoughts that come up, because you're allowing your brain to rest and you're not fighting it. If you constantly keep fighting your brain, going, I can't do this, my brain just won't shut up, then your brain is fighting and you're fighting your brain, and it's never gonna stop. But if you just let go, then your brain is going to learn that it's safe to rest. Because that's it's so hard. Our brains don't want to stop because it thinks it's not safe, because that's what it's supposed to do. You have to train your brain to recognize that there's safety in letting go.
Yes, because as long as you're concentrating on not having a thought, then you're not meditating. You want your brain, you want those good theta waves in your brain. So what I do, what I was taught, or what someone told me to do many, many years ago, was when those thoughts come, you just imagine them as a balloon, like a little thought balloon, and the thought comes, you acknowledge it, and then you let it float away like it's in a balloon. And like you were saying, Michelle, eventually you will go longer and longer without those intrusive thoughts, because your brain will learn, it will respond that, oh, okay, it's okay. Now's the time that we're going to stop and take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take practice, and you have to, but you can't, there's no shortcut, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It does take practice and just perseverance, that if you keep doing it, it will come. The theta waves will come. The rest state will come.
Mm-hmm.
And the benefits will come, but you have to stick with it and not give up and not get aggravated.
And that's hard to do sometimes.
It is. I mean, I can, I can remember when I first started, and then I realized that I was concentrating so hard on not having a thought. I was concentrating so hard on keeping my mind blank, that's what was hurting me, because I was fighting myself. I mean, you're not relaxing or meditating when you're concentrating on keeping your mind blank. I mean, that I don't even know how to explain it, but the people who have done it will get it, So I don't know.
Does anybody find a particular moon phase is easier to get rest?
Well, if you're talking about like a nightly sleep, I never have a good nightly sleep.
Ooh,
But I guess traditionally we should say the dark moon would be the best time to try these things, and to maybe start your new rest ritual, or your sacred pause ritual on the dark moon would be one of the best times.
I don't necessarily think that makes it easier to do. It's just a good time, energetically speaking, to start something like that. But I know for me personally, I find rest difficult, period, end of story, at any time, because I'm such a go-getter and I just do all the time, and I'm a worker bee, and I really am a Capricorn, no lie. I just work all the time, and I just power through, and I have to force myself to rest. So it doesn't matter to me and my way of being, whether it's a full moon, dark moon, waning moon, waxing moon, whatever. It's not going to be something that comes natural to me, and I have to make myself do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I guess for some people, rest comes easier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those people.
No, I'm not either.
I would say, logistically speaking, so from full moon to dark moon would be the ideal time. But, if you're one of those people like Michelle, who is the go-getter, the bee, running stuff, all day long, it can be hard to do that. So I understand. I don't always have my sleep together, and then if I'm staying up to do something, then that just throws out my little program that I have to use. So it all depends. I'm sure, yeah, everybody does the best they can. It can be challenging.
Yeah, doing the best you can is about all we can do.
Yeah.
Not beating yourself up one way or the other. I mean, I don't beat myself up for not getting the rest I need because I know what I'm like. And I just, if I notice I've gone too long without rest, I try to make it more of a priority. Like, for instance, last week I sat down and I looked at my life and I'm like, okay, so I have a full-time job and I have a business that I'm doing and trying to build up, and I constantly work like 6 days a week from the time I get up to the time I go to bed. And I was like, this is not sustainable and I need to rest. So I was like looking at days that I can be like, I will not work on my business when I come home on these certain days, and I will only do it on these other days, so that I have days that, yes, I have to go to work for my day job, but when I come home, I won't work on my own thing. Then that will be rest time. So I'm making that more of a priority. Could I beat myself up about it? Sure. But that's not going to accomplish anything. So why am I going to bother doing that? That's just going to make me feel bad.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, eventually you'll probably find that if you stick to that, you'll be a lot more productive on the days that you set aside for your business.
That's the goal.
Because I do the same thing. I sit here at my desk and I think, oh my God, I got to do this and this and this and this and this and this. And I do a little bit on one thing and a little bit on another thing. Whereas whenever I just take a day or two to not work on anything and just take them for myself and not business stuff, then whenever I go back to it, I just feel, I can knock something out right away, get it done, finish it before I start something else, instead of scattering myself over, 15 different tasks during the day. I can actually follow through and get something done and then tackle something else. I feel less scattered when I take a day of rest.
Does anybody? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yep, that's how it goes.
Do either of you I'm sorry, whatever I just said, that's not what. Do either of you use any particular elements or crystals, or do you have a particular setup that you use when you create your sacred space?
Woman, you already know that when it comes to an element, it's, I mean, we don't need to rehash that.
Right.
Well, I can say
next to water.
I can recommend a few things, like selenite is often overlooked, but it sort of clears your energetic static. It clears the the haziness and brings clarity when you're trying to work or rest. I mean, when you're resting and you want to, maybe do some dream work or something like that, selenite is very good, and lepidolite. And of course, moonstone, amethyst, labradorite. Those would be the crystals
Mm-hmm.
that I would turn to for those kind of things.
I would also use did you say fluorite? I'm sorry.
No, I did not say
No.
fluorite.
Fluorite and sometimes aquamarine. I would also add those.
Oh, nice.
To help.
Anything that makes me think of water, any blue crystal, water crystals, laying here and listening to the water filter in my turtle tank because I have aquatic turtles, and just listening to the water in their tank.
Mm-hmm.
You know me. I mean, when I can be by the ocean, that's the best for rest.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I can't get there. If I can get to a lake or a river or whatever, that works too. But if I can't do any of that, just incorporating some kind of water into my rest makes it better. But, can't do any of that. I can meditate and visualize myself there. Astral project myself to the ocean.
So as we're bringing rest into our practices, have you noticed a difference between when you didn't utilize rest versus now that you are working on rest? I know I'm starting out doing something similar to Michelle. I had to sit down and be like, okay, you can't work all day, every day. It's just too much. You have to
Oh, I
Mhm.
can.
some downtime.
That's not the thing. I can sit down and work all day, every day, but that doesn't last forever, and I will lose my mind. But I've done it, and I can power through. But I don't want to be like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said before, I think I'm more efficient if I incorporate times of rest within all of the crazy hectic stuff. If once you start incorporating some rest, I become more efficient, I become more focused,
Mhm.
and more
Yeah,
creative.
Yeah.
I get better ideas, I can think better.
Mhm.
I mean, I was working on something the other night. Now, I had been at work all day and came home, and I was working, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, I could keep going with this, or I could just stop and go to bed and deal with this tomorrow. And it would probably be better if I did that, because the quality would be better, because I'm really tired right now. So
Mhm.
that's what I did. So I'm proud of myself for noticing that and being like, I could keep going, but why should I keep going?
Yeah. It's like you're punishing yourself.
Exactly. I'm like, my business is something I enjoy. I don't want to turn it into like a chore. Just because I
Yeah.
enjoy it doesn't mean I want to do it 24/7.
Right.
That's a fast track to burnout and not liking it.
Yep. Um, so how do you feel about when you're resting, using that as a time to do like personal work, like shadow work, or any type of waning spells?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a time to do the shadow work and the waning spells, but I would not integrate it. I mean, rest time is rest time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's resting. But then there are times when, I don't consider it rest time when I'm doing shadow work or some kind of waning spell. I mean, I might be doing some kind of astral work or trying to do dream work. I don't really count that as rest time because I have an intention. I'm trying to get a result when I'm doing those things, so I don't really consider them a rest time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to think about too the fact that we're recording this in January and we're in winter, and winter is a fallow time. It is a time for burrowing and hibernation and rest. So, one, it's a perfect time for us to be having this conversation. One, because it's winter. Two, we're preparing for the dark moon when this episode is going to release. But, I mean, everything in the spiritual world right now is screaming rest, but everything in the mundane world is screaming be productive and set your new year goals and all this, that, and the other. And there's a big clash with that. So it's easy to feel like you're doing something wrong one way or the other. But this is really not supposed to be a time to have these huge lofty goals and do a whole lot and make all these plans and whatever. It's a time to just rejuvenate and be like a seed in the ground preparing to germinate in a couple weeks in bulk, and as we approach spring and whatever. And now I'm going off on some other rest tangent but I mean, ultimately, it all melds together, and y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm talking in very broad and general terms here, but what we all need to do, everyone within the sound of my voice, as witches, is reconnect to the seasons, reconnect to the wheel of the year. And that's one of the things that all of our Sabbats and Esbats and things like that are for at their core, is reconnect nature's cycles. And if you embrace that, and if you work towards that, I think you'll find harmony with the universe and with your goals if you try to align yourself and at least I'm trying to think of the words I want, align your path with nature's cycles. I think you will see better results in pretty much everything. Follow the agrarian and whatever cycles, and don't fight against them, embrace them, and eventually you'll have that moment where you're like, oh, everything is just flowing, everything is flowing in this cycle, and things are coming to me, and the things that I want are manifesting so easily and all this kind of stuff. But it's because you're going with the flow of the tide rather than swimming against it and fighting against it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because, Michelle said, we're in the middle of winter. We're not even in the middle yet. Just started winter. I think that's part of the issue with some people when they jump up to make these resolutions and things. It's because they don't last for most people because we're not in cycle. Because this is a time to rest and rejuvenate and regroup and plan and germinate and all of these things. And everybody
Right.
jumping around, want to party and whatnot is a big conflict. And it's two dichotomous energies going at the same time. Wreaks havoc on our bodies because we're not in sync. Until you said, not in sync with the planet, not in sync with the actual energies that are moving at the time, and that wreaks havoc on us. Like this sidebar, but the stupid daylight savings time.
Yeah.
There's 24 hours in a day, regardless of whether you make 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock,
I know. Oh
7
my
o'clock.
God.
It's still the same 24 hours. You're not saving anything. You're not gaining anything. Okay, yeah, okay. You might, an extra hour of daylight, but at the end of the day,
You don't have an
it's
extra hour of daylight. You're just up for an extra hour during the daylight.
yeah. But they play the word, so it makes it seem like you've got a whole extra hour. But, all you did was move the time. It's still the same. It's still the same 24 hours. You're not doing anything. It's not like you
Can't cut a
went
foot
and
off the end of a blanket and sew it on the top and it get longer.
right. So it's crazy. But that's part of why. Like back to the energy and the cycles that we're in. That the people who still deal with the daylight savings time, their bodies are so messed up. Because for that 1 6 months is the spring, right? Spring, from spring to fall, from spring to autumn, your body is messed up because you're not on the right cycle.
It took me forever to realize when I was a kid and they taught us that the sun is directly overhead at noon, and I would be at the beach in the summertime and I would look up at noon and I'm like, why is the sun not directly overhead?
Right.
Because that's not, because we're in daylight savings time and that's not how this shit works. Yeah, the sun is directly overhead at noon when we're not messing with the time, thinking we can change and control the time. Stupid idiot humans.
And the fact that we're still doing this, I mean, supposedly we're supposed to be during wartime. Okay, but that war's over for like what? Was it 40? It's been 60 some, almost 100 years, 80 years or something. Why are we still doing this? But that's another subject.
Because people think, oh yay, I want more daylight and whatever. I just want to get rid of daylight savings time and be on standard time. Don't make it
right, just all the time.
Don't get rid of it and be on daylight savings time forever, because then that's wrong. Then you're going to have to stop teaching that the sun is directly overhead at noon, because no, it won't be.
Right.
Oh,
I agree. You need to change it back to standard time and just leave it alone.
I mean, that is the kind of stuff that I think about, is like, but the sun's not overhead at noon.
Right.
I ain't right, y'all.
Okay. It's okay. So, anybody else want to share something else about rest? Keeping it safe.
I think we can put this subject to rest.
Okay.
Do you like how I did that there?
That was good.
That was very, very timely.
I just think we've said all we have to say, not that we couldn't continue.
Right. I agree. So, we thank you all for joining us for our dive into rest as a sacred choice. We hope you enjoyed. Hope you come back next time when we come back with another magical topic for you. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.